And you are taking a live look over Henry and Spalding County, where severe weather was just hours ago. You saw our coverage yesterday. If you were following, we took you to these communities that are now waking up to the aftermath, and we are going to be losing our Atlanta News First chopper shot here and there, but it should pop up momentarily. The National Weather Service confirms at least 4 tornadoes touched down Thursday in North Georgia. This is a look at some of that devastation. You can see here buildings torn apart by severe weather, by these tornadoes that had made landfall. Again, if you are just joining us, you're looking at Henry and Spalding County, the aftermath of severe weather. We did bring you reports all of yesterday into this morning. At least 4 tornadoes touched down in North Georgia, according to the National Weather Service. Now, what you're looking at, this is the area of McDonough. This is some of that aftermath of the tornadoes that we saw. Again, at least 4 reported by the National Weather Service touched down in Troup, Meriwether, DeKalb, and Spalding, as well as Warren counties. Now, the National Weather Service at this time says that the number of tornadoes that touched the ground, will likely increase in the coming days as they continue to analyze damage assessments and dispatch survey teams. Again, we're following, this is our Atlanta News First chopper taking you through McDonough, through Henry and Spalding counties, which you'll soon see at some of the damage the communities are dealing with this morning following Thursday's devastating severe weather. For those of you that might be living in these areas, in the surrounding Griffin areas, the Red Cross has opened up 2 shelters to provide emergency, essentials, and emotional support for families in need. Now, those shelters are located at First United Methodist Church. That's on 1401 Maple Street in Griffin, and Faith Baptist Church at 552 Hammett Road in LaGrange. Again, if you need support, emergency supplies, a lot of residents in these areas are still dealing with power loss, among other issues. The Red Cross has opened up 2 shelters to provide those services. Those shelters are at First United Methodist Church at 1401 Maple Street in Griffin, and Faith Baptist Church at 552 Hammett Road in LaGrange. And you can also contact the Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS. That number is going to be 1-800-733-2767. We have more details on our website and in our app. AtlantaNewsFirst.com is the website you want to go to, or you can download our free app. We're putting the latest information, including some of those damage reports that we've been following all night and all morning long, and bringing to you live over our air and as well as our digital platforms. Now, what you're looking at, I know some of you might just be joining in as we get more into this morning. This is the area of Griffin. Our Atlanta News First chopper taking you through both Henry and Spalding counties, where tornadoes touched the ground yesterday, leaving behind destruction. We followed heavy rain, wind gusts, and a lot of devastation in these communities. Now, the National Weather Service confirms at least 4 tornadoes touched the ground in North Georgia. They have also added that as they do more assessments, analyze some of the damage, they could see that number go up. But right now, at least 4 tornadoes touched the ground. That is the latest as of 5 a.m. today. We will monitor any and all updates and let you know if that number does change. As some of the businesses that were impacted, for example, the Hobby Lobby in Griffin, where cinder block was pulled apart from the store as the tornado ripped through the community. And you can see some of that damage just in this visual that I'm bringing you here. This is our Atlanta News First chopper showing you the area of Griffin, where you can see just the devastation left behind. And we talk about several communities that are picking up the pieces. You know, at least 4 of those tornadoes that the National Weather Service reported touched down in Troup, Meriwether, DeKalb, Spalding, and Warren counties. All of those counties had confirmed tornadoes on the ground in their community this morning. You talk about community members that are picking up the pieces, thousands still without power as they get up this morning and try to move forward from this. And then we talk about other impacts in other counties. Butts County, where a 6-year-old was crushed by a tree during that severe weather fallout. Now that 6-year-old is the first confirmed death of this severe weather storm. The Butts County Sheriff's Office says the 6-year-old was in a car with her mother on Haley Road and Highway 36 when a tree fell onto the car. The mother was taken to the hospital and has since been released. The 6-year-old, unfortunately, has passed as the first confirmed death in this severe weather. And I do want to make a correction. This, what you're looking at right here from our Atlanta News First chopper, this is the area of McDonough. We are planning to take you to Griffin next, so I did have that information mixed up. This is a picture you're looking at from our Atlanta News First chopper live over McDonough, and we will continue to take you through Henry and Spalding counties and the different areas where this tornado made major impact, leaving behind destruction in its path. You talk about fallen trees, loss of power. The Hobby Lobby, for example, was pulled apart cinder block by cinder block and has several walls missing. You talk about the power that a tornado can bring. We have confirmation from the National Weather Service that at least 4 tornadoes touched the ground as of 5 a.m. this morning. That is the latest number, but we have been told that that number is very likely to increase as we continue into today, as officials continue to conduct damage analysis surveys and assess where these tornadoes, I should say, left impact and which communities. Right now, I can tell you that Butts County, Clayton County, I'm going to read some more off my list here, Henry County as well, certain Griffin schools, Jasper County, Meriwether County, Newton County, and the People's Baptist Academy in McDonough all have closed their schools for the day as they deal with the aftermath of this tornado, of the severe weather that came past these areas. Those schools will remain closed at this time. Troup County, I'm adding that to the list as well. So let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing here. I do believe at this time Atlanta News First chopper is headed to Griffin. We'll take you through what it looks like over there. Again, Henry and Spalding counties hit pretty hard by these tornadoes that made landfall yesterday, and we brought you that coverage all of yesterday through our first alerts, continuing into today, where we've had our Atlanta News First teams all over these communities taking you through some of that damage, and you can see some of that just right here. That is a real picture of a building impacted by a tornado and other severe weather, heavy rain, wind gusts that had passed through these areas. Again, we're going to continue to monitor the situation and bring you any and all updates on Atlanta News First, and you can stick with us throughout today. We are expecting to learn more about how much of an impact this severe weather system had on these several communities. We are already seeing the significant damage from the 4 confirmed tornadoes that did make landfall, as well as the wind gusts and heavy rain that I am sure had additional impact in these communities. Again, some of the communities I'm going to read to you here, Henry and Spalding County, of course, and then we go into the other areas, Troup County, Meriwether, DeKalb, Warren counties, all had confirmed tornadoes touch down yesterday. And as our Atlanta News First chopper makes its way over to Griffin, if you missed the beginning part of this live stream, we were previously in McDonough, where we took you through the community and some of the destruction. I mean, you could see part of that roof torn apart and several people surrounding the building, likely assessing the damage and working through what the next steps will be. Right now, we are headed to Griffin, I believe, where we're going to take you through more of those tornado impacts, severe weather impacts. I did want to let you know that we have gotten confirmation that at least one person, a 6-year-old, has died as a result of this severe weather system. Now, that 6-year-old was crushed by a tree that was in Butts County yesterday. It is the first confirmed death of the severe weather system in Georgia so far. Now, we have been following the weather impacts in surrounding states. Talk about Alabama, which has also released a death count from the severe weather system. But this 6-year-old in Butts County, the Butts County Sheriff's Office has told us that the 6-year-old was in a car with her mother along Haley Road and Highway 36 when a tree actually fell onto the car. The mother was taken to the hospital. She has since been released. But at this time, we are following the ongoing aftermath of this tornado, of this weather system that passed through Georgia yesterday. Again, Henry and Spalding counties. We were in McDonough just a few moments ago. Now we're going to be taking you to Griffin, where that destruction continues to be seen. Some of those communities that were impacted, I'm going to read this to you here. Of course, Henry, Spalding County, Troup County, Meriwether, DeKalb, and Warren counties all had confirmed tornadoes on the ground yesterday and severe damage just as a result of that devastation. And you can take a look at this live picture from our Chopper 46 and just see almost the path that this tornado took and that line of tree damage and homes impacted. This, I believe, is over Griffin, if I'm not mistaken, a community in Griffin where you can see just trees, large trees, sturdy trees toppled over during this severe weather moment yesterday that we took you through. Now, we did bring you that alert ahead of time. Our first alert weather team was monitoring this situation, was informing on all of our platforms that this was going to be the case. We were likely going to experience tornadoes and the details of this severe weather. Now we're just seeing the aftermath and the live reality of it all. You can see several trees and just almost creating a line where that tornado did travel, just the trees that are completely toppled over on the ground, that tree onto a house, and you can see the roof has partially collapsed in. Several community members in those areas dealing with that this morning and likely into the next several days. Now I'm reading some of your comments here. Elizabeth mentioned this is Locust Grove. Yes, that would be accurate. We are en route right now to take you where we were previously in McDonough, taking you through Locust Grove en route to Griffin to just cover the several communities that are experiencing some of this devastation from the aftermath of at least confirmed 4 tornadoes that touched the ground yesterday throughout the evening and left destruction in its path. And you talk about the impact seen in Georgia. We follow the rest of the South and the states that have also come under this severe weather system. Alabama, for example, dealing with its own aftermath of these storms, of these tornadoes. But taking a look at Georgia, yes, this is Locust Grove where you can see several houses and trees just toppled over. A roof, I believe we were previously showing you here just a moment ago, caved in from a fallen tree. You could just see some of that damage. These are sturdy trees. These trees do not knock over easy, and that just tells you the power of this tornado. One of at least 4 confirmed tornadoes in these communities that touched the ground. Now, the National Weather Service does tell us that they will likely see an increase in the amount of tornadoes that we experienced yesterday, but they have to do their damage analysis assessments before they can confirm how many tornadoes we experienced yesterday, as well as other details into what this weather system brought, as well as some of the destruction and where exactly the most impact was felt. Now, right now we are looking at Henry, Spalding counties, DeKalb County, Troup, Meriwether, and Warren counties as the confirmed counties where at least 4 tornadoes touched down on the ground yesterday. That number expected to grow as we head into today. Governor Kemp has declared a state of emergency in response to this weather system, and that continues to be a focus now, dealing with the aftermath, helping those community members. If you are somebody or know somebody who is in these counties, please let them know that the Red Cross has opened at least 2 shelters for families in need. Those shelters are located at First United Methodist Church at 1401 Maple Street and Faith Baptist Church at 552 Hammett Road in LaGrange. And we are going to be losing our chopper signal in and out just for a couple seconds, so bear with me on that. But we're going to try to bring you as much of this visual as we possibly can. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them below. Let me know where you were yesterday, what you saw, and just your experience with everything. I know we were here with the Atlanta News First team, with the First Alert Weather team, essentially through the night, bringing you this coverage and taking you through everything surrounding this weather system and these tornadoes up until today, where we're continuing to follow this damage and bring you the latest updates on what we learn. You can see that tree that has fallen into what appears to be a pool in this area. I believe a nearby resident, possibly the homeowner, looking around at the damage. Just an example of some of the devastation that we've seen. Earlier in this stream, we were showing you a roof that was caved in from a fallen tree. And again, if you were following with us moments ago, we talked about the devastation in Butts County, a 6-year-old being the first confirmed death of this severe weather system in North Georgia. Now, the Butts County Sheriff's Office has told us that that 6-year-old was in a car with her mother when a tree fell onto the vehicle. The 6-year-old, of course, passed. The mother was taken to the hospital. She has since been released. Now, we are following every detail of this aftermath. The National Weather Service confirming at least 4 tornadoes touched the ground yesterday. That number expected to grow as they continue to assess the damage and conduct their surveys throughout today and getting a better idea of what the devastation is. Now, we're also following several outage maps, one being from Georgia Power, that has continued to report that thousands are waking up Friday morning still without power just as a result of these, as emergency crews continue to try to make repairs and get power restored as fast as they possibly can. If you are in any of these communities, and I'm going to read the counties again: Troup County, Meriwether, DeKalb, Spalding, and Warren counties, please know that if you need assistance, if you need emergency supplies and essentials, or your family needs a place to go, I mean, you can see some of these houses that are completely ripped apart. The Red Cross has opened at least 2 shelters, the First United Methodist Church at 1401 Maple Street and First Baptist Church at 552 Hammett Road in LaGrange. Now, as we wait to get our chopper signal back, we might be cutting in and out just as we take you through these different areas. Let's talk a little to the parents about the school closures that continue on today. Now, several schools closed down early in the afternoon in preparation for this weather system, but some remain closed to this day. That's Butts County, Clayton County, Community Christian School, that's in Stockbridge. Now, Griffin Spalding County schools remain closed as they deal with some of this aftermath, one of which we're going to show you here. I do believe our Atlanta News First chopper is en route to Griffin at this time. Henry County schools remain closed, Jasper County schools, Meriwether school system, all Meriwether County schools will remain closed for today. Newton County Schools, the People's Baptist Academy in McDonough, and Troup County School System, just to name a few of those. Now, we have a full list on our website and in our app, Atlanta News First. You can check it out there. We have details and links for everything that you need. If you recognize one of these schools, if this is one of these schools that your child or someone you know attends, let them know that schools have been impacted in these communities. And several of these communities, as you heard, were one of those places that experienced a tornado on the ground yesterday. At least 4, according to the National Weather Service, touched down in these counties. Now, at this time, we have been told by the National Weather Service that that number of tornadoes on the ground will likely increase as they continue to assess some of this damage in these different areas and continue their assessments there. Now, we are going to be following that every step of the way. Again, Troup County, Meriwether, DeKalb, Spalding, and Warren counties remain the confirmed counties where at least 4 tornadoes touched down on Thursday. That number is expected to increase in the coming days.
Griffin, one of the hardest hit areas, so hard hit that we have crews in multiple areas in Griffin. We have new video there this morning. We've had crews there all morning long. Atlanta News First's Rebecca Schramm is live there. Rebecca, I want to ask what you're seeing. From what I can tell, there's just damage everywhere behind you.
Yeah, it looks really bad, especially in this particular part of Griffin, Rob. We're not far from where Jennifer Valdez is. This kind of gives you a bird's eye view of the Hobby Lobby. This is the back side of the Hobby Lobby, sort of a storage area, if you will. And you can see some of the folks milling around there now, assessing the damage. Parts of this building have flown off into this nearby neighborhood, and we're seeing the rooftop everywhere. I mean, look at this. There are some parts of it draped over these power lines here, and we've seen it a couple of blocks away. Pieces of the Hobby Lobby roof just scattered around town. So this particular shopping center really got hit hard. We just spoke with a guy who works for Hobby Lobby, and he was coming around to assess the damage, and he is so thankful that nobody was hurt. And when you look at its damage, you can see why he says that. We've been scouring the area here this morning. It's just unbelievable now that we have daylight. We can see it a little bit better. We were in an apartment complex a little bit earlier where people believe it was a miracle that nobody was hurt because of all the trees that came crashing down around their buildings. A few trees did land on the rooftops, but amazingly nobody hurt. There was a man trapped overnight, trapped in his house last night in Griffin, and they had to come get him. Rescue crews had to enter the home and bring him out on a stretcher. Luckily, didn't seem to have any life-threatening injuries, but we're going to be checking in with his family. But yeah, I tell you, as we look around, it really is a miracle that nobody was killed in this particular county, at least not that we have heard of here in Spalding County. We'll continue to pick up the pieces, really, as the day goes on. Live in Griffin, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Rob and I were just saying the same thing. When you look at the damage and you look at that destruction, it really is incredible that not more people were hurt.
And I think talking to our meteorologists and seeing their reports yesterday,
Yeah.
I think we were all expecting something potentially more deadly than
Yes.
we've seen. And we know in at least one case, these storms have proven deadly. Sadly, a child was killed when a tree fell on a car in Butts County.
Atlanta News First, Megan Packer is live in Butts County. Megan, what can you tell us about what happened to that young man?
This is really heartbreaking news that this community is waking up to today. We are in the northern part of Butts County, north of Jackson. We're on Haley Road off of State Route 36, and this is the area where we understand a child was in a car when the tree fell on the family's car yesterday, killing a 6-year-old inside. You can see where these trees, a line of trees, came crashing across the street. They have since been cleared up. Talked to some neighbors out here. They said they tried to run out and help this family. You can imagine what a heartbreaking scene that was. But the sheriff did confirm to our newsroom last night that a 6-year-old did not survive that. The mother was taken to the hospital in critical condition. We understand she is home this morning, and they were only a quarter mile away from their house when the tree fell and crushed their car. We'll show you what we're seeing a little bit here. We've got properties with trees down all over the place. There's a property right here and a massive tree crushed a SUV they had here parked, a truck here on the side of their yard. But look at the size of that tree and the soil and the surrounding sticks and branches that it took up with it. This is just one tree, one example of what we're seeing here in this part of Butts County. They had 150 calls to the 911 center within the first hour of this storm yesterday. Now that the sun is up, it's been extremely busy. The utility crews are out, first responders are out, neighbors are emerging from their homes, helping one another. A lot of cleanup to do. If you were watching us earlier this morning, we were right up the street at the Valero. The awning came crashing down onto a huge pickup truck and 2 cars that were outside, crushing them. Spoke to a man. He said he was actually in the big pickup truck when the awning came down. He said it lifted the truck briefly up and off the ground. So just gives you an idea of the force of these winds that they saw here yesterday. A lot of cleanup happening in Butts County, where again, sadly, we can report that a child was killed. We are checking in with the sheriff's office this morning, and we will pass along updates as we learn more. We are live in Butts County. I'm Megan Packer, Atlanta News First.
Megan, thank you. Thank you for that. Even though there is all that incredible damage in those areas, we actually did see some damage in DeKalb County too. Trees and power lines came down throughout that area. Atlanta News First was live on the scene as people worked to clean up and restore power last night.
Yeah, it's a story we're hearing really all across the metro. Meanwhile, hundreds of families are faced with damaged homes and trying to pick up the pieces and fix those places.
So the Red Cross, as you know, they often step in. They're doing so this time too. They've opened up 2 shelters to provide emergency essentials for those people who are impacted. Let's tell you where those are. It's at the First United Methodist Church on Maple Street in Griffin. Thankfully, that building is still standing, so that can provide a safe place for people to go. Also, the Faith Baptist Church on Hammett Road in LaGrange. So if you need help or you know someone who does, just head over to one of those places. Now, when storms roll in or if you lose power, make sure you have our First Alert app downloaded to your phone.
And you can see just this residential area in Griffin, several of those trees, we did just lose our chopper shot, hopefully we'll get it back here in a second, but several of those trees in somebody's front yard near their home, you can see off into the far right distance, a tree onto somebody's home with partial damage to what appears to be the roof of the house, and you can just see several of those trees just in this community ripped from their roots. I mean, they are completely laid out as if they were twigs, and those are large, sturdy trees. I know they might look a little smaller, but you got to remember how far up in the air we are right now. Those are massive trees that seem to have just be laying on the ground, and that really speaks to the impact and the strength of these tornadoes that we saw. At least 4 confirmed by the National Weather Service. Now we are expecting that number to increase both today and in the coming days as officials continue to conduct their analysis and assess some of the damage in these communities that have seen just some of this devastation. And I can't imagine just waking up Friday morning and having to deal with this. Some homeowners dealing with repairs and not necessarily having power, some not having a place to stay, that are now relying on friends, community, and organizations to help get them through this difficult time. And this is a large building where you can see just some of the devastation. I'm going to try to see if I can get confirmation of where this is, but you can just see the path that this tornado took and some of the severe weather system, high winds, you talk about heavy rain, leaving behind the destruction in this Griffin community.
That there weren't more lives lost or injuries here with this. If you have damage, we've got that website there for you at the bottom of your screen. That is where you can report it. You will have to copy that down as it is. Meanwhile, because their inventory was spared for the most part, they do believe they should be able to open today, provided inside of the building isn't too bad off. They're checking that right now. Lana Harris, Atlanta News First.
Lana, thank you for that. This system left a path of destruction in several other states as well. In Alabama and Kentucky, they're trying to salvage what they can of homes and businesses. The National Weather Service is now investigating more than 34 preliminary tornado reports, including the ones here in Georgia. Take a look at this. This is Selma, Alabama. Roads just completely cut off by piles of debris. The governor of Alabama declared a state of emergency in 6 counties, and a statewide emergency was declared here in Georgia by Governor Kemp shortly after he took the oath of office to be sworn in for his next term.
Yeah, immediately busy, right?
Right away.
First Alert meteorologist Rodney Harris was with you yesterday as they tracked these storms from Alabama into our state. He's with you this morning as well. Rodney, we're tracking damage now, and of course we have another First Alert as well.
Yeah, we do indeed. That's important to remember, Robin. We're not done yet. We're not forecasting any severe weather, but we actually still have showers out there right now. You no doubt have seen those if you've had to get out to work this morning. So right over the city of Atlanta, some showers are drifting toward the south and east. As we slide to the south, more showers in Fayette County and Clayton County. And for those of you cleaning up, in Spalding County, in Griffin, you do have showers headed your way. This stuff isn't heavy, but it will be with us throughout the course of the day and into the night. So here's our high resolution forecast model. You can see that we will continue to see those showers kind of sprinkle in. I want to point out that in the LJ area and up in the mountains, you can see where that green is turning to blue. Those darker blues indicate snow. Okay, you got some snow showers that are possible for you, especially later on this evening in the mountains. And some of that could get as far south as Atlanta. Not really forecasting any accumulating snow here, but don't be surprised if you see like a flurry or two as far south as Atlanta. Really, the concentration, though, for the snow will be up in the mountains where you are under a winter weather advisory. The reason why is because you could see a dusting of snow in the mountains, and in the higher elevations, you could actually see up to 2 inches through tonight and Saturday morning. So a winter weather advisory for the North Georgia mountains. That does not include Metro Atlanta. For us, it's simply a very cold day. The high yesterday was 70. Today, we are only in the 40s for highs. In fact, we're going to stay in the 40s basically for the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. And we also have a northwest wind at up to 20 miles per hour, so it's going to feel even colder on your skin. So a first alert for the cold, a 20% chance of scattered showers. Again, a flurry or two is possible later on this evening. For the weekend, it's going to stay dry, but freezing cold in the morning, both Saturday and Sunday. 47 your high on Saturday, 55 is your high on Sunday. MLK Day is looking good. If you have any plans, it will be dry and a little warmer with the high of 58. And then next week, we have 2 first alerts for rain on Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure and circle that on your calendar. But even with those first alerts, our temperature or at least back into the mid to upper 60s by Tuesday. Here is Courtney Jacobazzi with the check of the roads. And Courtney, how are things looking?
Things are looking pretty good, but we've seen a lot of issues across the metro with trees down and power lines down and even some traffic lights out. So you just want to be really, really careful today. As Rodney mentioned, that wind out of the northwest upwards of 20 miles per hour. Well, our ground was already saturated. Then you had our cold front come through and the wind, and now it's still windy today. You put all those things together, we still have the potential for some of those trees that are probably still very loose to come down. So just drive really carefully today. Again, a moderate impact for your travel. And then, of course, in the higher elevations of the North Georgia mountains, you could.
And I do want to take you back to our chopper shot as we lost signal. As soon as I said that, we lose signal. That was just over other parts of Griffin. There we go, we got it back. I just want to take you through more of this damage as we continue to bring you this coverage. I'm going to hop in and out of the newscast. If you are trying to tune in to our on-air coverage right now, you can find that on atlantanewsfirst.com, Atlanta News First app, and of course on your TV if you wanted to tune in. We have several of our Atlanta News First team out in the community, Austell, Cobb County, Spalding, our chief meteorologist, Jennifer Valdez, also out in the field right now, bringing us just some of the latest impacts that we're seeing. And we are going to be losing our chopper shot here and there. That should only last a couple seconds as we work to get that back. There we go. And it is raining, so keep in mind we are getting some low visibility starting to come in, but I'm going to try to get you as much of an image of this destruction as I possibly can. You can see that large building, which is the roof, has just been peeled off. Essentially, you think about these structures being sturdy and being unbendable, but in the terms of a tornado, as we all know, that is not the case. These are powerful storm systems, powerful tornadoes that pass through and leave destruction in its wake. I mean, take a look at this. This was once a standing building. Now the roof has collapsed and part of that wall is just completely at a 90-degree angle and just cinder blocks everywhere from what you can see. Taking you back out to our Atlanta News First chopper, you see several police vehicles on the roadway, and that is what today really is, just a large day for these emergency crews, whether it's police, ambulance, firefighters, taking you through this area, that they are going to be responding to these community members that are dealing with the brunt of these impacts of fallen trees, of power loss, of just devastation, and being impacted by that on such a level. I mean, several homes that have fallen to this destruction. You can see some of that just off into the distance here in our chopper shot. And Sania says that's Hobby Lobby. That is correct, yes. That image that I just took you to from one of our cameras here, that is the Hobby Lobby. That has been a talk of for most of today, most of yesterday, as an example of just the severity of this destruction. And taking you back out here, I believe we were on this shot just a little earlier today, just some of that debris that has spread for miles and miles, and you can see those trees toppled over towards the top of your screen. And kind of making a path of where this tornado ended up going that really paints a picture for you. These are residential areas. Some of them now have these large trees either in their front yard, over their roof, partially into their house. I mean, take a look at that house right there. That is a massive tree you're looking at, and you can see the roots visibly ripped up off of the ground, completely covering this home. Again, for those community members that are impacted in this way, or you know somebody or you want to help out, the Red Cross has opened 2 shelters to provide emergency essentials and support for families in need. That first shelter is going to be First United Methodist Church at 1401 Maple Street in Griffin, and that second one, Faith Baptist Church at 552 Hammett Road in LaGrange. Now, I do want to warn, as we head more into some of this damage, we are starting to see rain and clouds forming. That is going to impact how long our Atlanta News First chopper can remain in the air. But while I have you and this visual up, just take a look. This is still in the Griffin community, I believe, and there that you see right there, that is a massive tree that has fallen onto a home. One of what I imagine is many in these communities that have felt the brunt of the aftermath of this. You're talking about Troup County, Meriwether, DeKalb, Spalding, and Warren counties all had at least 4 tornadoes touch down in those areas. Now, the National Weather Service says, and I'm going to quote this directly, that number will absolutely increase in the coming days as they analyze damage assessments and dispatch survey teams. So you can expect that number to grow. But these are the communities that are dealing with the tornado aftermath, as well as several more communities that are dealing with severe weather impacts, heavy rain, wind gusts, among other things. Now, we are losing our chopper shot here. We should be able to get it back here shortly. We are going to try to keep this up for as long as possible, but taking you back out to this scene right here, this is what appears to be the Hobby Lobby, where cinder blocks are just sprawled all over the floor. You can see the roof completely collapsed and caved in, and part of that wall just torn apart. That is a testament to the strength of this tornado, of this severe weather system, and we're going to continue to follow each step of these communities that are picking up the pieces, dealing with the aftermath. And again, if you were trying to help out in any way, on our website we have more details about some of the organizations that are assisting families in need right now. This is going to be a labor for these communities. They're going to need as much support as possible in the coming days and weeks as they pick up the pieces. You talk about people who have lost their homes and are waking up this Friday just trying to figure out how they're going to make it through all of this.